Hey guys, so last night was the release of Hocus Pocus 2 on Disney Plus, and obviously I watched it. We watched the first one and then we watched the second one just so we could like refresh our memories of the first one and then kind of have it as a comparison to compare the second one to. So I just wanted to start this by saying I love the first Hocus Pocus movie. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I ranked it 10 out of 10. That movie is perfection. It is so fun. Obviously there's like flaws and things like that, but it is perfect. I love this movie so much. It is by far my favorite Halloween movie of all time. It is so good. It is so funny. I love every single person in it. Bette Midler is amazing. She is so incredible as Winifred Sanderson. So good. With all of that being said, let's talk about the second one. I ranked this a 6 out of 10 because for the most part, it's fine. I obviously was not expecting it to be as good as the first one, and I definitely was correct. It was not as good as the first one. It was still fun though. I'll definitely re-watch it, just not as frequently as I ever watched the first one. There's two kind of main plots going on in this film, Hocus Pocus 2, so I will talk about those and then kind of get into the spoiler of the movie where we kind of combine the two plots. The first plot going on is between three friends, Izzy, Cassie, and Becca. Becca is like the main character of the movie. It is her 16th birthday on Halloween, and the three of these girls have been like best friends forever, and they always do this like birthday Halloween ritual on Becca's birthday. But this year is different because Cassie has a new boyfriend who Izzy and Becca aren't a big fan of because he always kind of makes fun of them. Especially he makes fun of Becca because Becca is very into like witchcrafty kind of things. So he has always made fun of the fact that they do this ritual. He always makes fun of the fact that she has like good luck gems and stuff and charms and things like that. So they don't like him, and even though Cassie has said she has tried to continue to include them in things, they don't want to do anything that involves the boyfriend because they don't like him. And it's like, well, we still want to hang out with you, Cassie, just not with the boyfriend. But they never told her that. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. Izzy is very much still trying to have them still be like a little group. Like she still wants Becca to invite Cassie to the ritual, but then is very disappointed when she finds out that Cassie is actually having a party and didn't invite the two of them. So that's really upsetting to the both of them, especially to Becca. Becca is good friends with this man named Gilbert who owns a magic shop, and it kind of seems like the Sanderson sister house that was the museum in the first one. This is now where he kind of opened up his magic shop. So he tells like spooky stories about the Sanderson sisters. He has all their things kind of like on display, such as the spell book, things like that, and then he sells hooky things that especially Izzy doesn't really believe in, but Becca definitely believes in this kind of stuff. So anyway, so they go to Gilbert's, and Gilbert just happens to have a special candle for them to use for their ritual, and lo and behold, it is a black flame candle. When they light it on the full moon of Halloween on Becca's birthday, it brings back the Sanderson sisters. It doesn't fully make sense because weren't they supposed to be completely killed off in the first one? Maybe it just has to be any black flame candle that can bring them back. It doesn't make sense because that's why Thackeray died at the end of the first one, was because they were like dead. Shouldn't he live forever if there's other black flame candles in the world? Getting ahead of myself, the Sanderson sisters are brought back. They have a musical number. Becca and Izzy are like freaking out. They're like, how did this happen? They try to convince the sisters that they're older than they say they are so that they won't try to like eat their souls. There's also a whole hilarious scene in a Walgreens where they convince them that like baby lotion is actually like lotion infused with the souls of babies to make them think that just using these lotions is gonna do the same thing that the spell in the first one did. After the Sanderson sisters are brought back, they decide that they're going to perform this spell that will make Winnie in particular completely all-powerful. And this is a really crazy big spell. even like the spell book itself doesn't want Winnie to perform this spell. Like every time they open the book to look at this spell, the book immediately like closes itself because it does not want Winnie to perform this spell. Part of the spell is that they need the blood of an enemy. It just so happens that Cassie's father, who is now the mayor of Salem, is a long descendant from a reverend of Winnie's times. When Winnie and her sister were young children, there was a reverend who tried to take Winnie's sisters away from her, and then they ended up escaping from them. That was a whole part of the beginning of the movie, but Winnie and her sisters escape into the woods, and that's where they really start embracing magic and witchcraft and stuff like that. This reverend who tried to take Sarah and Mary away from Winnie, like Cassie's father is a crazy long descendant of his. So they need his blood to perform this spell. They also need the head of the lover, which brings Billy Butcherson back into the story. Doug Jones returns for his role, which was just fabulous. So while Winnie, Mary, and Sarah are trying to find the mayor to collect his blood for this spell, did I say his name? Gilbert, the magician, magic shop owner, they basically trap him into a spell to collect all the other parts of the ingredients, which again includes the head of Billy Butcherson. And then Izzy and Becca go to Cassie to try to like protect her and her dad from the sisters finding him. And then there's like a whole friendship scene between the three of them where they're like, you da 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 da, no, well, you da 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 da, and that whole thing happens. I would say this movie is definitely more about like friendship than just being like a silly, hokey, kind of gotta catch them and kill them movie like the first one was. It was still fun. There was a couple more musical scenes in this one. Like I said, when they come back at the beginning, they have a musical number. There's a whole other scene where they sing another song to kind of entrap everyone else in like a spell similar to what they do in the first movie, which was fun. Winnie obviously has her broom, Sarah uses a Swiffer wet jet, and then Mary has to use two Roombas as like brooms to fly on, which is hilarious. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. Not as good as the first one. I mean, maybe if this had been what I grew up on, I would like it more, but I grew up on this first Hocus Pocus movie. It came out in '93. I was born in '92. So obviously it's been around literally my whole life, and it's just my favorite Halloween movie. It is so much fun. I will say, like, Bette Midler still killing it like she did in the first one. She is a queen. All of them are amazing in this movie, but Bette Midler in particular is just a solid witch queen. She's brilliant. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some spoilers of this movie. So from this point on, if you don't want anything spoiled for you, please exit out of this video now. You've been warned. I did mention, obviously, the three Sanderson sisters are still played by the original actresses. Billy Butcherson is still played by Doug Jones. Other than that, there are no cameos from any other actors who were in the first movie. Max, Allison, Danny, Thackeray Banks do not make any sort of appearances in this film, which was a little disappointing. I did read on IMDb trivia that Thora Birch was asked to come back for this film, but she unfortunately wasn't able to because of some sort of scheduling conflict. Thora Birch played Danny in the first one, so she was asked to come back, and she says she very much wishes she could. She just couldn't make it work with another project she is involved in. I don't know if, and if they did, I don't know why the other actors weren't either asked to come back for this movie, or if they were asked, why they did not. The only one I read about particularly was Thora Birch. There is a black cat in this movie that belongs to Gilbert. Gilbert says his name is Cobwebs. This cat does not talk or anything. There was like an end credit scene where the cat Cobwebs was kind of protecting a second black flame candle. Potentially he is Thackeray Banks, just not talking anymore. I don't know. I don't think so, because Thackeray Banks dies in the first one, like dies in the first one and goes to, I don't know, heaven or wherever. I don't think it's Thackeray, because if it was Thackeray, he shouldn't have let them lit the first candle at the beginning of this movie to begin with. So I don't think he's Thackeray. If he is Thackeray, he's doing a pretty crappy job of the only thing he's supposed to do in his undying cat life. So the first movie is definitely more like about Max kind of accepting the fact that this is his home now, and also about protecting his sister, things like that. This movie is definitely more about like friendship, obviously all the things that go on between Cassie, Becca, and Izzy. It's all about like their friendship and stuff, and like kind of mending the friendship that was broken. Also, spoiler alert, Becca is a witch. It's her 16th birthday, and so on her 16th birthday, she does gain her powers and she becomes a witch. And so between her, Izzy, and Cassie, they are a coven. Even though the other two aren't witches, they can still kind of be powerful, all three of them together. They are able to kind of defend themselves against the Sanderson sisters when the Sanderson sisters are coming after them. The whole thing with this crazy spell that happens is Winnie was so obsessed with performing this spell that she did not read the warning. And part of the warning was if she performs this spell and she does become all powerful, she will give up the thing that she values most. Which, as soon as that was read, I was like, it's her sisters, obviously. When she does end up performing this spell, she's all powerful, she's all happy, but you see that her sisters, Sarah and Mary, start to kind of like fade away and disintegrate. Winnie is obviously very distraught about this, and she is very sad that she didn't read this warning, and now her sisters are gone. And that was the whole thing at the beginning of the movie, along with the thing with the Reverend, was the Reverend trying to take her sisters away. That was part of the whole reason why they ran off into the woods, was so that they could be together, the three of them, even though in this movie and in the first movie, Winnie is quite mean to her sister, calls them names and smacks them and stuff. She still loves them very, very much. And together the three of them are still their coven. When they start to like disintegrate, Winnie obviously gets very, very upset, and she like begs and pleads Becca to help her to reverse the spell. I don't know necessarily if Becca reverses the spell or what she exactly does, but she does something to have so that they can be together. So she doesn't bring Mary and Sarah back, but she basically, in a like nice way, kind of kills Winnie so that Winnie also like disintegrates so she can be with her sisters. So my friend that I watched this movie with, she really didn't like it because she doesn't like movies where bad characters get these like redemption arcs kind of a thing. Like she really hated Maleficent for that reason. Like she did not think Maleficent deserved any sort of redemption. I'm kind of either way about the whole thing. I think it really depends on what the person did. There's one movie in particular where the sequel to a movie, a person who was a horrible, horrible, horrible person got a redemption arc that I was not okay with. But like, it's like, hey, like Maleficent and Winifred, it's like, sure, they did bad things. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just kind of like, I don't hate this trope as much as my friend hates this trope, but it's also not my favorite trope. You know what I mean? It was fine. I did kind of like at the end, after Becca kind of like saved Winnie, after Winnie like went off with her sisters, I did kind of like that the like three friends were like walking down the street, similarly to how the Sanderson sisters kind of do their silly hunting walk down the road. I thought it was fine. I don't hate the like redemption arc for villain trope. I don't hate it, but it's definitely not my favorite thing. The main thing I wish that would have happened is I just wish there was like some sort of cameo. I gave this movie a 6 out of 10. I definitely didn't hate it, but I definitely don't love it and think it's even near the same caliber as the first one. If you liked the first one, definitely still give this one a watch. It is still a lot of fun. Please just don't go in expecting the absolute perfection that the first Hocus Pocus is, because it definitely does not deliver that. That is my little review of Hocus Pocus 2. It is on Disney Plus if you are interested in watching it. The first Hocus Pocus is available for purchase, and then it is also available for streaming on Disney Plus as well if you want to watch the first one. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. I post new videos every single Friday, and I'd love to have you here. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.